Hey guys, John here from cammanatee.com, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Volt. Now Volt is a robot kind of battle arena style game. It's not really a whole lot of, no, there is battling and there is an arena and there are robots. So that's pretty much what it is, yes. It's a robot arena battling game, but it's a programming game. Man, I am not selling this game good at all. It's not like computer programming. It's just like, you know what? Let me just show you the components and how you play, and it'll make sense. Okay? So just bear with me. All right. Hey guys. So this is Volt. Let's take a look at what comes inside the box. You're gonna get the ever popular instruction book, which is 4 pages. Already off to a great start. You're going to get a couple of double-sided boards. You're going to get 4 of these plastic robots. You're going to get a bag of dice, some tokens, more tokens, even more things. And you're going to get these basically player boards, and then you're going to get player screens, which hide your board from the other players. And that is what you get in the box of Volt. So how do we play Volt? Well, it's actually really simple, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the basic game. Now, the advanced game adds these modules, which are really cool. They add a ton to the game. I'm not going to go over every module, but there's a bunch of crazy modules, and it basically just makes the game crazier. I love them. I hope they come out with more modules. But the basic game just by itself is still pretty darn fun. So how do we set it up? You're going to take, let's say we're playing with 2 players. We're going to take a green and a white. And each player places these anywhere on the outside of the board. So let's say white places here and green places there. Each player is going to get 3 dice. They're going to get a red, white, and blue. And this is important. And if you're an American, this game will be really easy for you to remember the order that you do the actions in, because it's the flag, red, white, and blue. So each player is going to get those. Each player is going to get a player board, a thing. That's quite astute. Okay, so each player is going to get player board, and I'm not going to play with the player screens, but normally you would play with a player screen. And let's see if I can get this centered here. And you're going to place these tokens on the side of the board, which are there's the damage token and there's the victory point token. And the first player to 5 victory points is going to win the game. And that's the setup. So how do we actually start playing this game? Well, the point of the game is to get victory points, as I said. And the way you get victory points is by stopping on these control points, but only one of them is going to be the moneymaker in a particular round, meaning I'm going to roll this die. It's a 3. So the 3 control point is where you need to be at the end of that round to get a victory point, or a victory chip, if you prefer. And the other ways to get victory chips are to kill one of the other robots, either by destroying them with, shooting them, or pushing them into a pit, or shooting them into a pit. And I'll explain that in a second. So let's just jump right in here. So each player is going to have these 3 dice. You're going to have a red die, a white die, and a blue die. And that's the order that these die are actually resolved. So it's basically a programming game in that you are going to place these die on this player board. And let me show you this player board up close a little bit better here. This is your shooting side. So when you're going to basically put a die, let's say on here, and that's the direction you're going to shoot relative to you. So put one here, and let's say I wanted to move, say I did that. These dice are going to resolve in red, white, and blue order. So we would, move this way 5, then we would move this way down, it's relative to the player. So this way 3, and then we would shoot diagonally this way. And we're not shooting for 5. I'll explain what these value on the shooting dice does. So here's this handy dandy reference sheet. And basically what this is telling you is that if you were to put a 2 on the die, you're going to rotate the dice on the weapon controls by 45 degrees. A 3 is rotate the dice on the weapon controls by 45 degrees. And you can see, they kind of show the weapons here. And then the 5 and the 4 and the 5 we're actually going to rotate all the die by 90 degrees. And what they mean by that, and then the 6, which is one of the most used, at least for me, is the push. You're going to push them in whatever direction they get hit, the opposite direction back. So let's say the green was actually here, and I hit him with a 6 going this way. Let's say that white one was a 6. He would be pushed this way. Opposite of what direction the hit came from. Let's say I hit him with a 5. A 5 is rotate all die by 90 degrees clockwise, which means all these die on his board would actually move 90 degrees. So as you can see, if you hit someone, you can really mess them up in their planning and what they do. But the only limitations to your programming here is you can put a maximum of 2 over here, and there's no maximum over here, and you can't stack them. So I can't do like this, like a crazy person. Believe me, I tried. The rules, you can't. So I could do like this, or I could do this, or I could do even this if I didn't want to use all my die. But basically, you're going to program your robot in the order that you want to do. And the way it's resolved is both players are doing this, and they're going to reveal their boards at the same time. And whichever die is lower is the one that goes first. So let's just do a sample round real quick, because I know that might be a little bit confusing on how that works. So let's say control point is 3. So give me a second. Let me program these guys, and then we'll continue. So now we're all set up. Each player programmed their robot, and we unveiled the controls. So the way we're going to resolve it, we're going to resolve the red die first, and the lower number goes first. So we have 1 here and a 2 here on the red die, so the 1 is going to go first, and that's white, so he's going to move this way 1. And as I said, it's relative to the actual player. And we move on to the green player. He has a 2 on his red die, so he's going to move this way 2. And that's it for the red die. Now we're going to move on to the white die. And again, we look at the numbers. We have a 6 here, a 5 here. 5's going to go first. So he's shooting in this direction with a 5, and he actually hits. So like I showed you previously with the chart, a 5 is actually going to rotate all dice by 90 degrees clockwise. So all of his die are going to rotate this way. So that is going to mess green up pretty badly. So he was going to shoot this way, but now that he rotated all of his die, he's shooting harmlessly this way, so his white die doesn't do anything. Next, we have the blue die, which white wins again with a 2. He's going to move up 2, 1, 2, onto the 3 control point, which is what we want. And this guy is going to move 5 this way. He can only move 2, so he just he goes 2, and that's it. He didn't fall into a pit, so at least that's good. And that's it. That's a round of the game. You're going to rinse, repeat until one player has 5 victory points and wins the game. Now, The one thing I didn't mention that I needed to is when this player got hit, they're going to take a damage token. And when you have 3 damage tokens, you are destroyed. The only way to repair in the base game is to land on this square right here. When you land on that, it repairs all your damage. And so that's the basics of the game. It's a lot of fun to try and guess and kind of, it's hard to describe. I mean, it's a very clever game. You're going to spend a lot of time thinking about what your opponent is going to do and then trying to work around that. My favorite thing to do is not necessarily to go towards right to the control point, but what I like to do is I like to get into a position where if my opponent is on the control point, I'm going to blast them off of the control point into a pit, which gets me a victory point and kills them. So, you know, I may not try and go for this 3. I may just try and get some, you know, not that I could from here, but let's say I was over here. Get here, shoot a 6 into him, push him into the pit. He dies. I get a victory point. He doesn't get anything. Amazing. And that game is just full of this stuff. It's just a great time. So that is the basic game of Volt. One thing I will mention is when you die, you respawn, and you can respawn on any of these sides here. And each round, you're going to re-roll this control point die to see which spot is worth a victory point this turn. And as I said, that's just the basic game. There are a ton of, they call them modules, which add just a boatload of stuff. I'm not gonna let you, you're not gonna be able to read it from here, but I mean, you can see all these different modules. They just add a ton of stuff. Twin blasters, force blasters, saw blades, teleporters, explosive cores, tractor beams. It's just, there's a ton of gameplay packed in this box, and it's relatively inexpensive. I think it's $35. Just a fantastic game. Highly recommended. I don't know why I'm saying this now, because we need to go to my official review to say these things. So that's it. That's all I have for how to play and what comes with the game. Okay, so what do I think of Volt? I like it. I like it a lot. I thought it was a really good time. Now, I didn't get a chance to play this with 4 players. I've heard it's great with 4 players. I only played with 2, and I still really liked it. 2, you have more space than with 4. With 4, it's really hard to plan ahead too much because there's so many variables. With 2, it's a little bit easier, in my opinion, to think about what your opponent might do. And in that way, it might be a little more satisfying. I don't know. I haven't played the 4-player version. I'm sure it's a blast. That's what everybody says. I only played 2-player, and that was a blast. It is just so fun to pull off the perfect move of understanding what your opponent was going to do, moving in position, and shooting him into a pit and winning the game, which is what happened in our game. Man, it was fun. So, highly recommend Volt. There's not a ton of buzz about it. I mean, the reviews are good that are out now, but I'm not sure what the deal is. It doesn't seem that hot right now, but it is a fantastic game. And again, it's one of those games that is short. You get a great gaming experience in like 30 to 45 minutes. So check it out. You won't be sorry. Thanks for watching. See you next time.